How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something that's pretty simple, but I want to address. And this even goes for the Toyota guys. I named the title of this video, watch this before you buy any Jeep, because I want to explain something to you guys. You guys aren't getting what I'm saying in some of my videos. So I'm going to make myself clear, because a lot of people watch my videos and leave comments, and they're leaving comments they don't even know what they're talking about. For one, they don't watch the whole episode of the build that we did with this Cherokee. To understand the budget build that we did and to make it roadworthy and to pass inspection, you have to watch the whole spread out videos of this Jeep. There's several episodes of this Jeep, so you need to go back and watch those if you're one of those viewers that commented about how unsafe this Jeep is. This Jeep is far from unsafe. This Jeep is probably the safest Jeep you can build on a budget. And what I mean by building stuff on a budget, just because I pieced together a lift and I'm higher than most of you guys that bought a lift for way more than I spent lifting this Jeep, and you guys are mad about that, doesn't mean mine's unsafe. I never built anything that is unsafe. Now, I have built stuff in the past on this channel. I never aimed to tell them that, hey, I lifted this thing for $200 and some, you can drive this on the road. That was strictly a trail rig. When I do stuff like that, I explain to you that, this is just a trail rig, blah, blah, blah. But this particular Cherokee that we built, it started out to be 50-50. And honestly, it's more of a trail rig now, but I still drive it on the road, to the store, it doesn't matter, and off-road. This is the most safest vehicle you can drive. And to be honest with you, I have a 2018 Wrangler sitting over here beside me, which you probably seen at the beginning of the video. This particular Cherokee drives 10 times better than the Wrangler. So you can argue in the comments about that if you want, but that's my honest opinion. And that one ain't got very much stuff done to it. So I want to talk about buying a used Jeep. This is another thing that I get on my channel a lot, emails a lot. Cherokee Ronnie, you said that these Jeeps are bulletproof. And it's never anything to do with the motor or the transmission. It's always wearable items. Now, I want to clear something. This even goes for Toyotas, Toyota owners, Toyota fans. I know Toyota owners, like the Tacomas and stuff like that, the people own those to overland and rock crawl and go off-road, give Jeep guys a hard time. But one thing Jeep and Toyota owners have in common, we know that Toyotas and Jeeps last forever and they're bulletproof. So what do? What do we set aside? We would rather buy a set of rock sliders, a set of bumpers, tires, rims, a lift kit before we do maintenance. And that's the God honest truth. And I'm guilty of it myself. So a lot of people will skip the maintenance part of a Cherokee and go straight to making it look good. And they get tired of the Cherokee, for one, because the way it drives, because they did all this work to it and they use worn out parts with it. Another thing is when that owner gets old of it, or gets old with it, they sell it to, let's say you get this Jeep and you're like, these are unreliable pieces of junk. And really they're not. They haven't been maintenance. And every Cherokee that you're going to buy is going to be wore out. Because what do we always say? They're bulletproof. You can run them and run them and run them and they won't fall apart. And that is a true statement when they have 80,000 miles on it. When they're racking up 200,000 like this Jeep has, it is wore out. My buddy had this Jeep and it was wore out. You couldn't hold it in the road. There was brake problems. There was ball joint. The whole front end was wore out. And a lot of people don't understand the videos that I did in the budget. Like, oh, this guy bought this, pieced this together and didn't do this. You didn't watch the whole video. We got a cab fab steering kit on the front of this thing. We got all new front end components, wheel bearings, ball joints. This thing drives so good. Like, the whole front end's been replaced. And I did it all on a budget. And here lately it's not. We almost have $10,000 in this Jeep, and we did a lot of work to the 8 1/4, and we did stuff like that. So when you go buy a used Jeep, a used Cherokee, any Jeep, Wrangler, doesn't matter what kind of Jeep it is, be prepared to spend some money on maintenance. And once you get that out of the way, you can keep up with it and you don't have to worry about it anymore. And the most common things that you're going to find is wore out motor mounts. The rubbers are going to be gone. The motor's going to be flexing. The clutch fan's going to be gone. The electric fan's not going to work. It's probably going to overheat because there's so much gunk in the coolant system, or the head gasket may be blowed. That's another thing. You're going to see worn out tie rods, all that stuff, ball joints, stuff like that. You're going to see oil leaks. You're going to have tons of oil leaks on a Cherokee with the 4.0 because there is lack of maintenance. The rear main seal, the oil filter housing, the valve pan gasket, stuff like that. So you can't really call a Jeep junk if it's been well used. That's in my opinion. The reason why when I buy a Cherokee off of somebody, I don't call it junk. I just call it lack of maintenance because it wasn't maintenance properly. So what did I do? I went ahead and fixed all the leaking issues of this Jeep. Rear main seal or oil filter housing, motor mounts. I had to fix the fan. It was bad. Little stuff like that. The windows did not roll down. Had to fix that. Just little stuff. The tailgate hatch would stick, or it was sideways. It was bent or something. Had to fix that. Just little stuff like that does not make the XJ junk. It just has been well used. And now that we did this build, we're sitting at 5.5 inches of lift. We have a awesome rear end. We have the front end build coming soon in the spring. We got rock sliders. We got hood, like we did a cow hood so we can let a lot of the heat out for slow crawling. We did a lot of stuff to this Cherokee to make it very, very reliable. And I must say, this thing doesn't matter what day it is. It was 12 degrees this morning, and this thing hasn't been started in forever. And I come out here and it cranked right up. Now it does turn over a little hard when it's cold because I am running 1540 diesel oil in this bad boy. So that's something you got to deal with when it's colder. So I just want to clear the air. If you're buying a used Cherokee or a Wrangler or a Liberty, Jeep, anything, be prepared to do some work to it. I know a lot of emails, man. They're like, I bought this Jeep and it's been nothing but problems. It's because you've not really fully inspected the vehicle before you bought it. When I go buy a vehicle, I get it cheaper because I inspect it and I see what's wrong with it, and it's a negotiation deal going on because, like, hey, this is bad, can you knock something? You know, you got to do that. If you go and just kick at the tire and look under it and see that it's a good body, and you take it home and it runs good, and then all the stuff starts flying apart, leaking, can't hold it in the road, stuff like that, that's because lack of maintenance and you didn't really look at the vehicle. So you don't really have the right to call a Jeep Cherokee junk. So make sure you keep that in mind when you are looking at a Cherokee. Now, when I look at a Cherokee, here's how I look at a used Cherokee. When I looked at this Cherokee, this particular Cherokee, it's a 2000 model, the thing I wanted to look at the most was the unibody. Made sure it wasn't bent, made sure it didn't have rot. I want to make sure that that was good because my plan was to lift it up, redo the whole front end system and the rear end and leaf springs, and it didn't matter to me. So it just depends what you have in mind and what you're going to be doing with the Jeep. So if you're going to look at a Jeep to keep it stock and have it a daily driver, make sure you look at the front end. Don't be embarrassed to take a jack with you or jack the front end up or anything like that, or move the steering wheel and have somebody look. Take a friend with you, start it up, listen for any unusual sounds out of a 4.0. Take it for a test drive. Make sure the transmission is not slipping. Make sure the rear end's good. All that stuff, that's fine. Make sure you look that stuff over before you buy the Cherokee. And you won't regret buying it because you know what you're getting. And a lot of people don't do that. They buy something, they think it's good, they get it home, and they just say that, you know, this is a junk vehicle. It's well used. So if you're like me and you're wanting a good body and a good unibody, you know, overall it's structurally sound, and I knew the front end was shot on this thing, the brake lines, all that stuff was shot. But I knew I was going to take it home, rip this thing apart in my backyard, and pretty much redo the whole underneath with front end components, the rear end components, and I even got frame stiffer or unibody stiffeners on this thing. I knew I was going to do that, so I didn't complain. Yeah, I make jokes about it. You know, couldn't hold it in the road when I brought it home. I had a vice grips holding the brake line shut so I could stop. But from a year ago to now, this Jeep has came a long way. I built this in my backyard. It is very, very reliable, and it is very safe. I want to clear that right now. This Jeep is safe. I wouldn't be afraid to put my old lady in this Jeep and send her down the road in it. That's how confident, how safe it is. That's how I built it. I made sure it was, because the reason why we built the 8 1/4 and put the unibody stiffeners on, the bumpers that we're going to be redoing the front end, the reason why we did all this stuff is so I can really thrash on an off-road and it be reliable. So that's the whole point. So I just wanted to clear that up. Remember, when you're buying a used Jeep, you're not getting a new Jeep. You're getting a used Jeep. And a lot of Jeep Cherokees and a lot of Jeep Wranglers have already been through the ringer. You should lower your expectations a little bit and realize what you're really buying. The Jeep game is not for everybody, and the Toyota game ain't for everybody. Toyotas are plumb war clear out when you buy them. I've had them. I've drove one. They're plumb wore out. You got to do work. Did I call it junk? No. Once I did the work and got everything situated and made it reliable again, I love the vehicle. Same way with the Cherokee. So keep that in mind when you buy a Jeep Cherokee. I just wanted to clear the air on that, and I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Tons more content coming on the Cherokee. We got to redo the Dana 30 in the front. So I'm going to show you how to do a ultimate budget Dana 30 build for 35s. A lot of people were disappointed because I didn't go with the 8.8 in the back. I'm running 35s. I'm not going any bigger than that. Don't plan to go any bigger than that. And they're like, the 8 1/4 will never hold. The 8 1/4 is an underdog. A lot of people bash on the 8 1/4, and honestly, it's a lot stronger than you think. And the way we build it, it's pretty strong. I would dang near say it's as strong as the 8.8. I would put it up against an 8.8 right now. I believe it is just as strong. So make sure you go back on the channel, watch all the episodes from clear at the beginning of this Cherokee, clear to the end. I got Wrangler stuff on there. I got Razor stuff on there. We're doing a lot of stuff this year, and hopefully to up the video content and the quality of it. But I can only do so much. It's you guys that matter and what keeps this channel growing and going. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit that like button if you haven't yet. I'm Cherokee Ronnie. Stay dirty, my friend.